welcome to another Jim Duckstone Sports. This week, it's my fifth installment of my NBA previews, as this time I focus on the Northwest Division, of course, and the Western Conference. Should be good, because a lot of good teams and, quite possibly, an NBA champion resides in the Northwest Division. But we'll start with the Northwest champs from last year, the runner-up to Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. Of course, we're talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder. And what can you say about them, man? They are one of the best teams in the league, and for this team to go to the next level, I think it was good they lost the NBA Finals. I think they learned a lot about themselves last year in the NBA Finals. I mean, is this a really good team? Yes. Are they young? Yes. Are they hungry? Of course. And I think losing NBA Finals maybe even makes this team, if it's possible, even more scary team, because I think if you haven't heard the quotes from Kevin Durant this offseason, he's pissed that he lost. And Westbrook, he's pissed he's lost. You got a lot of pissed off players out there in Oklahoma City, which is a good thing. You know, they're really going to play, I think, more hungry next year, play with a lot more fire than they did last year, I think, which would be a scary team, because this team already dominated the West last year. What are they going to do this year with which, in my opinion, you know, a top 3 player in the league in Kevin Durant and a really good player in Westbrook? And the depth of this team is insane. I think they're the most deep team in the NBA. And I really believe the Oklahoma City Thunder have all the pieces in place to go to an NBA final. We'll see if they can do it this year, because they are a really, really young, exciting team. They're not young anymore. They have experience. They've gone to a Western Conference final, 2 times Western Conference final, to an NBA final. This team is starting to get a little experience, and I really believe an NBA title run is in their future this year. And I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are the best team in the NBA, and I think the Oklahoma City Thunder will go back to the NBA Finals. But moving on to our preview, our next team, the Denver Nuggets. Kind of surprising team last year after trading Carmelo a couple years ago. This team hasn't lost a beat. You know, they play with a lot of. This team have a lot of talent, not really, but this team is well coached, and this team, they get up and down the floor, play great defense, and can score with the best of them. This team is slowly becoming a really good team in the NBA. They're a really good team, which means they don't really have any star players, but they play really good together. They play really good team ball, which is very good to see in such a star-studded league such as the NBA is. And for this team to go next level, I think they need to get a little bit more scoring, because it was pretty clear against the Lakers last year. They just didn't have enough scoring to match with Kobe Bryant and the rest of the Lakers. And for this team to challenge at Oklahoma City, which I think maybe in a few years they can, they need to maybe build a few more years in the draft, get a little more scoring, and then maybe a few years Denver Nuggets could be a scary team. But for this year, I think they'll be exactly who they were last year, a scrappy team that will beat any team on their best when they're playing their best ball, but they just don't have the weapons to compete with a Oklahoma City. And that's why I don't think they'll win the division, but I think they'll be scrappy and still be a playoff team, because I think they're at least good enough to crack the top 8 in the Western Conference this year. Move right along. The Minnesota Timberwolves. This, to me, is the dark horse to win this division. Because, yes, Oklahoma City is going to be tough, but Minnesota is a tough team. They've been a really good team the last few years. Kevin Love is turning slowly into one of the best big men in the league. Rubio is one hell of a point guard, and I think in a few years will be up there with the best of the best in the point guard position. And I really like Minnesota Timberwolves. They're very well coached, a very underrated team. I mean, a couple years ago they were one of the worst teams in the league, and just slowly building through the draft, like getting Rubio, Kevin Love. I really like where the team is going. They can score. They're getting a little better every year, which is good. And I think this year, are they going to go to the NBA Finals? No. But can they be a playoff team? I think they can. I think Minnesota has all the tools in their chest to be a playoff team this year, and I think they will be a playoff team this year. I think they're at least good enough to crack the top 8. I really love the way this team has come together the last few years. And what more can you say? Kevin Love is turning one of the best big men. Rubio is a beast. Really well coached team. And their bench, not the greatest, but a very underrated bench, to say the least. And I really like the Minnesota Timberwolves going to 2012, 2013. Okay, moving on to the Portland Trail Blazers. Should be an interesting one. You know, Portland a couple years ago seemed to be that team on the rise when they had Brandon Roy. and LaMarcus Aldridge as young bucks. But since then, Brandon Roy has retired, a forced retirement, and Aldridge still there and still is the best player on the team. But the team has fallen off mightily, and really wanted Steve Nash in the offseason, made no bones about it, did not get him. And I think this will affect this team because a couple years ago, this team was on their way to an NBA championship, and then just hit a brick wall with retirement of Brandon Roy when his knee problems came up. Still have Aldridge, as I said, still a great player, but are they a playoff team this year? I don't think so. I just don't think they have enough. Besides Aldridge, there's nothing really there. And I think it's going to take years and years of rebuilding in the draft. And I just think that the Portland Trailblazers maybe need to blow this thing up and start over from scratch again. Maybe get a new coach, maybe a new GM, and start over from scratch because this just isn't working. And I think it's going to be a long year, 2012, 2013, for the Portland Trailblazers. All right, our next team, the Utah Jazz. Very interesting team a couple years ago, just like Portland. I think it's time for Utah to blow this thing up and rebuild. I mean, you look at the roster, there's not really much there. They got a few decent players, but no all-stars, no players that are going to take you to the playoffs or anything. I think it's time, with the departure of Deron Williams a couple years ago, really hurt this team and did not get much on the way back. And I really think this team needs to start the rebuild process and start from scratch in 2000, maybe look to more 2013, 2014, because I do not like this team going this year, and I truly believe the Utah Jazz could be a good team. They have potential to be a good team with a few good young players, but they just aren't ready yet, and I think it's time for them to blow it up and start from scratch and maybe focus on 2013, 2012, because 2012, 2013 will not be a good year. All right, that's it for my previews, but who wins the division? I want to say Minnesota, a young, scrappy team. I think will be a playoff team, but I don't think they're quite on the level as the Oklahoma City Thunder. As the Thunder win this division again, as they're making this a dynasty in this division, seem to win this every year. And watch out for the Thunder because I really believe that they're my NBA pick to win it all this year, and they could be my pick to win it all this year. But only time will tell in future preview shows. Well, that's it for this time. But until next time, I'm Aaron Duxbury saying I'm Dux, and I know sports. Kind of.